Today we'll be going over TNReady review questions 45 through 48. Okay, question 45 says Yasmin reflects triangle ABC over line DE. She labels the reflected triangle A prime, B prime, C prime. Which statement about triangle A prime, B prime, C prime is not true? Okay, well, we know when we reflect triangles, the angles stay the same and the side lengths stay the same. Everything about it stays exactly congruent. It just flips orientation. Okay, it's facing a different way. Okay, so as we look at this A says the measure of angle A prime is 76. Well, measure of angle A is 76, so it would be true that this would stay 76. Measure of angle C is 43. Well, measure of angle C is 43. So C prime would stay 43. That would be true. Okay. The measure of line A prime, B prime. Okay. So the line on top means the line between A and B is 7. Well, when it's reflected, it stays exactly the same. So that would also then be true. Okay. The measure of line AC, that's this guy here, A prime, C prime, should be the same as AC, which would be 9. Okay. And that is false. So therefore, D should be our correct answer there. Okay. When we have reflections, translations, and rotations, the triangle stays exactly the same, the side lengths and the angles. Okay, the dilation, when we dilate it, the side lengths will change, but the angles will remain the same because they're similar triangles. Okay, let's take a look at 46. A contractor is determining the amount of materials needed for the construction of a new building. He knows that he will use 32 nails for every sheet of plywood. Which graph represents the relationship between the number of sheets of plywood and the number of nails? Okay, so this first one here in A, okay, shows one sheet of plywood, we would use about 32 nails. Two sheets of plywood, we would also use 32. Three, also 32. So the number of nails would stay the same as the plywood increases. That does not make any sense. That would make for a very unstable situation. Okay. B here says the sheets of plywood are at 32 for one nail. That better be one really big, strong nail if that's going to make any sense at all. All right, so make sure you pay attention to the axes and what they're labeled and what the numbers would mean in those situations. Let's take a look at C. This one says one sheet of plywood is about 32 nails. Two sheets of plywood would be above 60, about 64. Three would be just under 100. Okay, 4 would be 120. Okay, so that increases the way that I think it should. All right, now this one, the sheets of plywood, this says, oh, 32 sheets of plywood for one nail again. That doesn't make any sense. So C would have to be the correct answer there. Okay, the most important thing to look at on this problem was what my axes are labeled, and does that make sense in the context of the problem? Question number 47. What fraction is equivalent to the decimal number 0.90 repeating? Okay, that line on top, remember, means repeating. So it's really 9.0909090, etc. Okay, it's going to continue that pattern forever. Now, if you remember, when we turn repeating decimals into fractions, we put the numbers that are repeating over the same number of nines. So in this case, we would put 90 over 99. Two numbers that are repeating, so we put it over two nines and simplify. Okay, this would simplify to 10 over 11. Now, if you forget this, okay, how to turn that in, and they give you all these fractions, you can just turn the fraction into a decimal, right? And you would be able to see, oh, 0.9090, etc. That's what I'm looking for. Okay, this one is 0.9 and it stops. Okay, this one is 0.1 repeating. Okay, 1, 1, 1, 1. All right, and 1 over 90, if we type that into the calculator, it would be 0.01 repeating with just the 1 repeating. Okay. All right. So you would be able to solve that one of two ways. All right. Now, if you have zero point 0.6 repeating, okay, that is 6 over 9, which simplifies to 1/3. Hence why 6 repeating is 1/3. All right. Question 48. All right. A linear function is represented by the table as shown. Okay. And we're trying to figure out which of these goes with this table. Now, which two statements? So there's two that are correct. Also, I want you to notice here that it says the equation of the linear function is. The equation of the linear function is. The equation of the linear function is. Now, if the linear equation is 1/3 x plus 5, can it also be 3x plus 2? No, that wouldn't make any sense. So only one of these is going to be correct. And this one says the rate of change is 3, the rate of change is 2. Well, if it's 3, it can't also be 2, so there's only one of these, all right? So that can kind of help you figure out a little bit, you know, D or E is probably going to be correct, and then A, B, or C is going to be correct because we need two correct answers. All right, then from here, we'll find that rate of change, all right? 8 to 11 is 3, 2 to 3 is 1, 11 to 17 is 6, 3 to 5 is 2. All right, so my rate of change here is going to go up by 3 over 1, or 6 over 2, or 15 over 5. Okay, those are all equivalent, which would be your rate of change. 3 over 1 is 3, so D is that correct answer. Now, I take a look here, and my rate of change is M in my equation. It's my slope. Okay, so that rules out A as a possible correct answer. Okay, and we are now going to determine if it's a proportional relationship, 3x, or if it's plus 2. Well, if I look at this, I'm going to try and go from 2 down to 0. So I'm going to go down 2. And we know if I go down 2, I have to go down 6 here. 8 minus 6 is 2. So I get 0, 2, which makes B my correct answer for that one. Okay. If it was 0, 0, then C would be my correct answer. Okay, and I do change in y over change in x for that rate of change. All right, rise over run. Okay, and that's questions 45 through 48.